How high is high stakes, you say? Well, we actually didn't say how much, so that's a little bit odd. But we did... Where's Northern Realms? Here we go. We did get this, which is the card that we just purchased. It has 8 strength, which is our highest outside of Roach. And it is also type bond, meaning that it gets doubled when you play it in the same row with a card of the same name. And presumably we do already have one. Oh, we now have 2 of them. That is huge, especially if you consider we also have the leader ability that allows us to double them again. That's what, 16 apiece from just playing them together, and then double them again to 32 apiece using our leader ability, and it's not a huge investment either. That's just playing 2 cards and using a leader ability, and we're already all the way up to, what, 64 collectively? That's crazy. So that sounds awesome. Does also mean that we have a pretty huge amount of cards in our deck right now. We could perhaps get rid of some of our weaker units, like, say, Zoltan. We have, I think, some 5s in the range row as well, like Kira and Siegfried. How many units do we actually need? Or do we want to, say, get rid of some of our weather effects? On one hand, I feel like most of the time, whenever we draw them, I'm deliberately getting rid of them. You know, redrawing into something else. So, in that respect, it feels like it might be worthwhile for us to remove them and, say, leave cards like Siegfried or Kira instead. But then again, on occasion, they are very valuable to us. It's just that they take a fair bit of planning, and sometimes they don't work very well with the cards that you have in your hand. So they're unpredictable. They're very hit or miss. So I'm conflicted as to whether or not we'd want to keep them. But, oh, we do need one more unit. I was going to say, for a second there, it looked like we might have been able to remove all of our base 5 strength units cards. There's a few more that are, 5 strength or lower that do some extra things. But none of the plain and simple 5 strength units, except we did in fact need one more, so I just threw Zoltan back in. So let's do it. And again, we don't actually know what the high stakes are, so to speak. I'm not sure, so maybe it was even worth saving beforehand. I don't know. Do we get a game over if we lose? Does she take our soul? Okay, this is important. We did get 2 Blue Stripes Commandos. They are another Type Bond unit, so they will get doubled together. And here's another Type Bond that does not have its pair. The Ballistas, unfortunately, are not Type Bond, even though we have 2 of them. So that means the Spy as well. This is the range nerf. If we could get rid of our only range unit, that would make that nerf a pretty safe thing to hold on to. So I think we do that. We get rid of you. That's a melee nerf, which I don't think we want because we have a lot going on in melee. Except you could theoretically deliberately go, what I'm thinking is, first round, you play the Siege, use your leader ability to double them, and you play the, the melee nerf, and then you play the Spy in the opponent's melee row, so this gets reduced down to a 1. That's maybe not terrible. It's a lot of cards to play just to set up a Spy. Is maybe overthinking it a bit. So I feel like it's probably still best to re-roll this. And we got a Commander's Horn, which, allows us then to double the melee row, which feels like that is pretty darn useful for us right about now. So I think I'll take that. Let's think as to whether we want to go melee first or siege first. And I don't think there's necessarily a right answer. In both cases, we're likely going to want to double. And I don't see any throwaway cards here other than potentially the range nerf. So I think for the most part, we're playing to win in round 1. We'll go melee first, and then round 2, we'll go into siege. Okay, our opponent plays a Spy in the melee row, which is interesting. We could counter with more of the same ourselves. This is just like a better version of the same thing. It makes me a little worried because I feel like there's a non-zero chance that might mean that our opponent is about to follow up with a melee nerf, which would be not so great, seeing as how we are planning on playing a bunch more melee cards. However, we do have the clear skies now, so it could remove it. That is a leader. So that's 10 strength in the siege row. Don't ask me why this human being is in the siege row, but don't really know about him, so take your word for it. And that is 10 strength, yes, but bear in mind that that is 10 strength that cannot be modified in any way, shape, or form. And if all goes according to plan, we should still be able to continue to play more in the melee row and double them, which should mean that we're looking pretty good here, and we have the clear skies, so we could remove a nerf if we had to. Oh, Scorch is not what I wanted to see, though. Yikes. Okay, so deliberately played our weaker cards first, in hopes of making it so that if our opponent did have a Scorch, they would remove a card that was not so great, and I don't think it would have affected, in fact, we saw that it did not affect the leader, because again, immune to special abilities. It was a 10. We had 2 cards that were tied for an 8, that were the special bond units. We were really looking forward to playing those. That is not a good sign to see that our opponent took them. Our opponent is still winning if we used the Commander's Horn in the melee row. We would be at 24. Our opponent would still need to play a few cards if they wanted to try to beat us. Or at least one. Might be able to do it with just one. It'd be tough, so possibly it would take 2. So I'm conflicted as to whether we want to... Yeah, I think we do want to play this now. Let's remember, our leader ability will be effectively a Commander's Horn for the siege row. Yeah, that's not what I wanted to see. That is the one powerful card that allows them to immediately take the lead that I was not looking for. So in this case, I think what we do is we accept the loss. I mean, we could use a range nerf, yes, and that would reduce them by 2 down to 25. We would still be losing, might still be able to bait our opponent into playing one more good card. They would still win round 1, but then we'd be in pretty bad shape. In fact, yeah, there's not a lot we can do here for winning 2 rounds. We have all the siege stuff, yes, for what would ultimately be a round of pretty strong cards, but we'll still need to get 1 more out of it, so that's tough. What I'm thinking is, we use the decoy, pick up our spy, and then place him in our opponent's row to draw more cards in anticipation of losing this round, and hopefully giving us a little more firepower to win 2 future rounds. However, given how we're not going to have a lot of margin for error because we are losing round 1, I feel like maybe it is still worth playing a card, nerfing our own card. It's not looking good. I think we do it. I think we do. Our opponent is likely to pass. At least they should. We are sending a pretty clear sign that, or they will remove one of their... Oh, they removed the spy! They're doing exactly what we did. Yeah. Not a good sign. We'll draw more cards here, yes. And we got another spy. Actually, that could mean that we continue to play more spies. Our opponent playing non-spies is a good sign. So yeah, we're going to just load up on playing all of our spies and try to give ourselves card advantage going forward. Not the medic, that's another good way to do that. But our opponent does play the spy they just redrew. We do double it, since it is going in the melee row. So we now do have a 2-card advantage. However, do we also feel confident that we could say, still win this round if we were to... With the medic, we could bring back one of these guys. If we still had our decoy, we could do it twice and bring back both, and suddenly we would probably take a pretty convincing lead. But to bring back just one of them, they are 4 strength apiece. In this row getting doubled, they'd be 8 strength to bring us up to 26. We'd still not be in the lead. So I think that's a pretty significant risk. I think we need to wait. I don't think we do it this turn. I think we pass and take the loss, for this round at least. And we hope that this 2-card advantage is enough to be a difference maker in rounds 2 and 3. So yeah, we pass. I don't know, though. It's going to be a tough one. See what our opponent does here. Does pass. Not like they have any more spies to play and make up for what was a card disadvantage that our opponent has. That is a very strong range card. So you know what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that means we delay the range cards for now. And I'm reluctant to commit fully to going all-out siege, because any firepower we can save for round 3, I think, will be key, given how it's going to be a close one. We're relying a lot on that card advantage to pull it off. Our opponent instantly passes, though. That is fantastic, because what that means is now we can go range nerf. That will reduce you down to a 1. We will win that round. We will still have a 2-card advantage, because although we'll play something here, we will gain a card when we pass and win this round. So that is what we were looking for. Round 2, more or less, could not have gone better there. Oh, except we picked up a siege nerf as our additional card here, so this is functionally pretty much useless to us. We could play it and then proceed to immediately thereafter remove it, but that's pretty much just mind games at that point, so we may or may not have 2 dead cards here. So even though we have 2-card advantage, that is a little bit misleading. Honestly, this is more of a card advantage than anything else. We could replay the siege unit that we played in the previous round. That is likely what we'll do, because we are also planning on using our leader ability here, double the siege row. That's actually not a bad thing, per se, that we had to play one of the siege cards previous round. So let's go... I think we still ease into things in case our opponent has another Scorch. We saw what happened last time. Okay, that is a medic. Who do they bring back? They bring back a spy, actually. Uh-oh. Okay, so it of course does give us some strength, but allows our opponent to draw a few cards, so we are now even in terms of our card count, as we were saying previously. Don't have the best of cards right now. Another medic? What? Playing another spy? I mean, that's a strong spy, yes, so we are getting higher numbers, but still, that is alarming. We could play our spy. What do we think? Is it better to play our spy, give our opponents 4 strength, but gain 2 cards, or play the ballista, which will ultimately get doubled with our leader ability? So this is worth 12 strength once it gets doubled. Whereas this, we lose 4, and then we're hoping that means to get, what, 16 it would have to be from the 2 cards that we draw? That seems pretty unlikely. It would need to be 16 in order to be the same in terms of value of this. That seems, yeah, like that is very unlikely to happen. So I think we do take this. In which case, and I think we do that now, again, to avoid playing our strongest cards here. If our opponent was to use a Scorch, it would get rid of this spy. Okay. And we, of course, did use our range nerf last round, so wouldn't do anything against these guys who are already just 1 strength, but it would do something to you. And of course, we have some cards of our own in the range row, so probably wouldn't be a great idea to do that anyway. And now, I think we just go all out, playing the siege units. We hope our opponent doesn't have any way to get rid of them. And we do have the ability to remove any weather effects, yes. But Scorches... Well, actually, Scorch would still only take out our spy here. Okay, so they can double the range row, which is a little bit concerning, but I think that still our siege row will ultimately be better. Unless they continue to load up. But we currently have the lead, and that should only grow from here. And now we see our opponent, of course, has more cards than we do. Can they catch up? Because now we're at the point where our cards are pretty trash. So I think what we do here is we still do play the Siege nerf, and then we play the weather effect here. And maybe means that we have the chance to remove another weather effect of some variety, because anything other than a range nerf we would want to get rid of. Siege nerf affects us more than it affects our opponent. Our opponent has nothing in the siege row. A melee nerf affects us more than it affects our opponent. A range nerf affects our opponent more than it affects us, but it's unlikely our opponent would actually play one of those. So we'll do this here with the intention of removing it, because obviously we are hurting ourselves. But I don't think there's any way our opponent could prevent us from clearing the skies here. So we do this. It's mostly a way to pass time. But it does mean that we are now fully out of cards. Our opponent, we are at the mercy of our opponent here. 2 remaining cards. That one does double their strength, but it's still only a base 4 strength unit. What does this do? No, you can nerf the siege row, which is enough. So basically what we were hoping for was that our opponent would have used that ability early enough that either there would have already been a weather effect in the siege row, or we would have just proceeded to, or we would have still had our clear skies and been able to remove it. But unfortunately, because of that card advantage, they could wait long enough for us to have gotten rid of our clear skies and then just use that weather effect when we were not able to get rid of it. So,
well, hard luck. I'll gladly play you again sometime.
Yeah, about that. I mean, it was close, of course. That was unfortunate that you had... Did you say that? It was unfortunate that you were able to play that card when you did.
Welcome back.
So I feel like we might still be able to pull this off.
When I look at you, why, I almost regret I'm no longer on active duty.
Okay. Let's give this another shot here.
Why, yes. Let's play.
And I think it will take some luck, yes, to pull it off. But we did see that at least 2 cards were less than ideal in that last round there. So Decoy is good. Torch is very good. These guys can be good depending on what else we have in the siege row. Hopefully it's a fair amount. Little bit in the way of range, but not a lot. Spy, good to have that for some flexibility. More range, and this is one of the tight bond guys, so we want another one of them ideally. Medic, that's good. Another siege unit, also good. Roach, also good. So this is looking pretty strong, but I think we probably want to get rid of Sheila. She's not doing too much for us here. She's just remarkably average. The siege units, or siege experts, are slightly above average, I think, still, because we have, what, 4 units total in the siege row. So once you consider that we're going to end up doubling these guys for certain using our leader ability, they're probably still better than Sheila. Death Mold is slightly better than Sheila, so there's that. And we could try re-rolling this guy, and based on prior experience, I'm sure that we will re-roll him into the other one, the pair that we would have liked to have had in our hand. We got a second Decoy, which is actually fantastic when combined with the medic. So that's good. We do go first. And I'm thinking what we do, we might even want to play Stennis first. Because we definitely have strong siege cards. We have at least Roach here for the melee row. With a little bit of power in the range row, yes, but it seems like for the most part we have a pretty strong chance of winning in whichever round we opt to go all-out siege. I'm not sure if we have enough firepower to win a second round as well, so getting some additional cards from a spy could be a difference maker there. We got... which nerf is this? Range nerf? That's a powerful spy. We could steal it. By powerful, I mean bad, and that it has 9 strength. So we did outplay our opponent there, in that we both played a spy, but ours was better than our opponent, so that's good. I'm thinking that for that reason, maybe we do... Huh. You know what we could do? We could deliberately pass here, force our opponent to play another card to take this round. Then we know we will have card advantage going into round 2 and hopefully 3, and try to ride that momentum to an overall victory. And it's weird passing this early, but I How does that sound? Could play Roach as well, and then we just build on this early lead and still pass early and see how many cards our opponent has to play to catch up. I think we actually do want to play at least one good card here, because we want to have some good stuff to bring back with the medic. So let's do that. I'm not necessarily sure that Roach is the answer, though, because I don't think you can medic Roach back. I think we saw that previously, because he is a hero. So I think we go with one of the big siege cards, actually. Let's try that. Let's see how our opponent reacts. We do still have a 10-point lead here. Our opponent is loading up on more spies, so good thing we didn't steal this spy, because this one is better. It is still a not-so-good spy. You see, our spy is still the best one, has the lowest strength. So we still don't want to Scorch, because we, of course, be removing our own cards here. We do have a very strong lead in terms of our current strength. Our opponent now has, of course, played 2 spies relative to our 1, so our opponent does have a card advantage. He is 17 power, though, enough to more or less equate 2 cards, or ideally more. So, like, if we passed here, would we be able to make up for it? We could decoy, steal one of those spies, turn around and throw it in our opponent's face, and still have a lead. Is a little bit intriguing. There are a lot of potential options here that we could take. Just not sure what is necessarily the best. I'm feeling like we actually pass here. Again, the logic being we are expecting our opponent to need to play several cards to catch up to us. Or they might even just say, okay, that's enough, I'll pass here. Stick with my card advantage, give you the victory in round 1. I think we're okay with. Let's see how this goes. Does our opponent pass and take the loss, or do they commit to they pass and take the loss? Yeah. So they do have 2 card advantage, and that's why they did that. But we also draw a card from winning a round as Northern Realms, and what did we pick up here? We picked up the other range dude who would ideally have a pair to go along with him. So, what does that mean? That means that either we go hard here, or we try to delay a round and get our opponent to drop a couple of good cards and overcommit so that we have at least better cards remaining for the final round. I'm thinking what we do is, well, could we play, say, a Siege Expert, and then, well, you know what, we could revive 2 people with the medic because we have 2 decoys. So we could bring back a spy. We could bring back the ballista. That is something that doesn't necessarily have to happen this round. We could save that for round 3. So what intrigues me is playing a weak card like the Siege Experts, and then making it so that we are almost guaranteed to be able to take out some people with Scorch. The thing that's making me hesitant to do that is that the Siege Experts are valuable when we combine them with a bunch of other siege units, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a 5th that we'll bring back from the graveyard here. So that means that they're what? They're 5 strength in total when you combine that they'll also be boosting other people, and then we'll end up doubling that into 10. So just throw away 10 strength for the purpose of getting an additional Scorch in. Not sure that's worthwhile. So I think let's play what is also a bit of a throwaway card. What is actually probably our actual worst card here. So we could Scorch. Could Scorch on this occasion. It is tempting. It would get rid of this card, and then what would that mean? We'd be at 9 cards. Our opponent would have a 2-card advantage in which to make up the 5-point deficit, which they may or may not do in 1 turn, because it would not be blatantly obvious that we are about to pass, even if we perhaps intend to do that. Would also... No, I think what we do... I'm going to say we have this range nerf as well, and we don't really want to be playing range cards and playing the range nerf in the same round. So tell you what, I think what we do is we do Scorch, and then we're going to play Death Mold, and then we're going to pass. That way, right now we are able to remove their card while they have the highest value card on the table right now. And then we can still play Death Mold. Go a little bit further in the range row. What do they play? We want them to play slow here, which unfortunately they are not quite doing. And we'll play this. Retake the lead. Hope that they play a low card, or that's not really what I was thinking when I said that. Doesn't really count. And then that way, we'll pass here. Probably. Could potentially play Roach. The logic being that that way we've played our strongest, or played our only, range cards, and then we'll hold on to the range nerf for the next round, so we won't be nerfing ourselves at all in round 3, but we'll hopefully be nerfing our opponent. Would have liked... Well, I guess I know. We would not necessarily want our opponent to play range cards in this turn for that very reason. We don't want them to force us to play the range nerf when we have cards in the range row. So, do we Roach or do we not? I think we do, because if we pass right now, our opponent is just going to immediately pass as well and not have to sacrifice another card, whereas if we play Roach, we might get our opponent to need to play 2 more cards, depending on where they play this and how aggressively they play. Oh, they tie us. We played a 10 strength card, and then they play Zoltan, who is a base 5, but getting doubled into a 10, so that is unfortunate. If they played anything weaker, then we would have been okay there. But at this point, we definitely want to hold on to all siege. This range nerf is not adding any value this time around, so we might as well hold on to it to round 3 and see if it's useful at all then. And then, well, we have the decoys that we'll use with the medic. So let's pass. It was unfortunate this time around. Nearly had it work here. I assume our opponent's going to pass here. They might have spies. They don't. Okay. Would have been an opportunity to... Well, actually, no, it wouldn't have been an opportunity to play spies, because then we would have taken the lead. They would have handed it to us, in that case. Okay, so they have their own hero to play. They have Letho. I think we start with the Siege Experts. That way, if our opponent does have a Scorch, I mean, it's still going to take them out rather than Letho, because Letho is a hero and is unaffected by it. But I'm assuming they won't play it against Siege Experts who are so weak. Now, it would affect them rather than affect us, so... we are becoming safer. And that hero ability does do a siege nerf, and we don't have clear skies to remove it. This is the same thing that messed us up last time. Pick a torrential rain card from your deck and play it instantly. Yeah, it is specifically the siege nerf, and they are always going to be able to play that because it's their leader ability. We can still double, but we're doubling what's going to end up being some very weak cards here. So suddenly, using the medic to bring someone else back is looking more intriguing than it was previously. In which case, who would we bring? I mean, we'd probably want to go with the ranged people because they would not get nerfed. However, we are holding on to a ranged nerf ourselves that we would like to be able to use. In which case, would we actually prefer to have some spies? Possibly. But tell you what, I think we play this card for now, because it's not really doing much for us here. So it's not like we've any reason not to play it. Buys us a little more time to see what our opponent is doing. They have 5 cards remaining. So if we play this, and then use the decoy to bring it back, we could get back... Yeah. I think we're toast if we don't play the spies here, because... we could load up in Siege Row, as we were planning on doing, but that is definitely not a recipe for success against this opponent. And we might even need to just outright change our strategy if we're to play them again. So, we do this here. We get back one of our spies. Play it, draw 2 cards. We hope we don't get Siege cards here. In fact, we got Clear Skies. Hold on. That's a game changer. Hold on. The nerf was going to make it almost impossible for us to win, except we can now get rid of it. So now, we can bring back the medic, and we can replay the medic, and now we can focus on bringing back siege cards. And I'm assuming our opponent does not have another source of siege nerfs. However, we can wait this one out. We actually have more cards than our opponent, so we could play this last, or rather this last. That way we are sure that our opponent will not be able to counter in any way, shape, or form. So yeah, let's deliberately, as well, perhaps hold off on the siege, or on the medic, just in case our opponent has any way to delete it. Shouldn't be able to here, because the Scorch at this point would, what? Our opponent pass? Okay, they do have a pretty strong set of cards here. However, we can nerf range, which is what we wanted to do. We were setting ourselves up so that we wouldn't have anything in the range row, and our opponent does. That's definitely helping us here. Not enough in and of itself, not yet. However, we play the medic. We can now bring back the ballista without too much concern. It's going to be nerfed for now. However, we can also decoy you again to replay you. And now there's some question as to what the best card might be, because these guys would get nerfed. This is, of course, a spy. That means we're giving our opponent 9 strength, but I think drawing 2 cards is still perhaps intriguing, because we could get some more siege cards. We have a lot in our deck that we did not draw, so I'm going to take a bit of a risk here. And we got another siege card and another spy. We go this route here for the other siege card. And we are still losing, yes. However, we're going to remove the siege nerf, which is going to basically double, or more than double, I think, actually, our value in this row. And then we're going to actually double it that way as well. We have another spy. This one's much weaker, so I think this is a much safer bet that we will get this to pay off here. Commander's Horn, we can double the melee row, which makes up for the value of the spy, and then we also drew a powerful siege card as well, so that more than makes up for it here. That's going to be, what, 16 strength by the time we're done with it. So now what we do, we double melee. That's a small one. Brings us up to 27. That's not a huge deal. We double the siege row. This is what we were, of course, always planning on doing. We are tied at the moment. However, this is the big thing. We got a spy that allows us to remove the weather effects. Will make our opponent a little bit stronger in the range row, because we were nerfing the range row, but mostly makes our siege row nigh untouchable. Get up to 98 strength, and there is the victory we were looking for.
I fail to understand how I lost that. Oh, I believe this card belongs to you now.
Know any other players willing to stake rare cards?
In Novigrad, Siggy Reuven's collection is famous. You really should challenge him.
Okay. So she is a big city player. And I'm curious as to what card that was. Morvran Vortis. 25 experience as well. I don't know if that's more than what we would usually get. Quest completed. Wow. Another card added? And maybe it's just me, but it looked like those perhaps had gold borders. So it might be that those were both heroes. Thought one of them... Oh, it's this guy. We saw this guy. The Siege hero for Nilfgaard. So that's good. Strong Nilfgaardian card. And I think we were looking for one other strong unit card for Nilfgaard. We threw in, I think, just a base 5 strength card, which is not terrible, but oh, we actually have some 2s that we probably would rather get rid of. So I think we do that. And then instead, add, say, you in their place. Might also have, yeah, we have more of these guys, and they are type bond. So even though they're just a 3, having 3 of them, in fact, we have even more. Wow. Having 4 of them means that it is possible to, and at least also more likely, because we have so many of them, to draw a bunch, play them in the same row, and get them to double themselves. You're just a plain and simple 2. You're not great. Then you're a 1, but you are also a medic. You are also a 2 that can double if we have multiple of you. And we do have 1 more. we'd have 2 total. That just seems like it's far worse than this here, having a higher base strength and having 4 of these cards. Was there anything else we might want to remove? I think this guy probably. Just base 3 strength. You could say throw in a 5 base strength unit. It also has type on. We don't have a second of it, but it is still just objectively better than the other card that we had there previously. And anything else? No. I think that will do. And that's getting to the point now where Nilfgaard is starting to look not bad. Not bad. Of course, we could throw in some weather effects if we thought that was something that could be useful. I'm still somewhat on the fence as to when they are. When they're good, they're great. And when they're not so great, they're terrible, because you could make yourself worse. We saw that a couple of games ago, it was the death of us. And the previous game, we had a Clear Skies that was ultimately the game changer. So that's a great example of how it can be fantastic for you or not so great for you. It just varies a lot. And the other one I thought was Scoia'tael. Thought also had a gold border around it. So I'm hoping we might have a Scoia'tael hero here. No, we don't. I don't remember what the name of it was, though. So we also have not necessarily put in all of our best Scoia'tael cards here, so maybe we just throw those in for the sake of making it so that, well, we have what is our best available set of cards primed and ready to go. So having a 6 strength, or several 6 strength cards, and Scorch is probably a good idea. Special card limit reached, wow. So in that case, let's remove some of the weather effects. How many special cards do we... Oh, well, we know how many special cards we had. Which ones did we put in here? Why do we have so many? Lots of Commander's Forms. And every weather effect, 2 of them. You have a lot of 0 power healers, which... Yes, there's still something to be said for them because they are healers, but I feel like it's a much harder case to make when they have 0 power. It is basically a bring back any card you want, but with no other bonus, whereas the healer that we have for Northern Realms also has 5 strength, so it has as much power as a normal unit and also the power of whichever unit you bring back. It's basically 2 cards in one. This one is basically just 1 card. You just have the flexibility of picking which card that is. So it's probably still better than some other cards we have in here, I think. Let's maybe add the good cards first, and then we'll go in and take a look at what the bad cards are and take them out. Like these 5 strength guys, they're sort of the run-of-the-mill. That's the, sort of the really average threshold that we have, at least for Northern Realms, is if you're at 5, then you're okay. You could theoretically make the deck, but whenever we draw you, you're probably going to try to get rid of you. So if we have anything better than that, then that would be ideal. This one makes it so that we could bring more of them to the playing field if we have multiple, and we do, actually. We have 2. Okay, so yeah, that is definitely preferable. We need a ton more unit cards. Okay, in that case, let's throw in the 5s. Even if they're not perfect, probably is still worthwhile. Oh, and these guys also have that muster ability, so if you play one of them, you bring all of them in from your deck onto the playing field. We only have 2, so it's not fantastic. Ideally, you'd have a bunch. So you play one, you get every one of them to show up, and what looks like a 3 strength card really turns into like a 12 strength card. And we have some 6s. Should definitely play those, or add those, I should say. And most of them have the agile abilities, so they can be placed in either range or close combat, and that's fine. We do now have the ability to put more special cards in there, so we could put in Scorch, we could put in Commander's Horn, we also put in a bunch of decoys. Well, almost. We have too many specials now. I think it is probably worth making room for those decoys, though, because we put in so many healers. So, yeah, let's remove this. At least one of the Clear Skies. Gives us room for 1 more decoy. Do we want 3 decoys? We could theoretically do it. But we do have so many healers, right? How many do we have? We had... Where are they? Or did we not put them in? We have 1, 2, and 3. So you could theoretically have 3 separate healers and 3 separate decoys, and that's not really necessary. You could just use the decoy to bring back the same healer over and over. Makes me wonder if maybe we really don't want this many. I mean, you are of course still more likely to draw them in the first place if you have that many of them, but let's maybe keep this as it currently stands. Unless there are some cards that are blatantly bad that we have in here right now. You are muster unit. We have more than one, though. I don't think so. I think you are just, at the moment at least, purely a 2. Meaning you are pretty bad. Let's take you out, and we'll put in what is just a higher base strength card instead. One of these 4s. And it's going to be in the range row no matter what, so take your pick. Okay. That's what Scoia'tael looks like. Nilfgaard also looks pretty strong. Don't think we've added much in the way of monster cards recently. However, we apparently have not even started to try to build a deck with them. I think that's probably something we wait for until we pick up a few more. Don't think we have quite as many of them. And then, other than that, yeah. Basically, we're just waiting on picking up a few more monsters before we try to put something together for them. Okay, so let's see what else is in here. Like, can we go upstairs? Are these also lootable? Oh no, that's the one that we were looking at previously. Oh, except we did have the loot option there, ever so briefly. We're trying so hard to make that happen before, and then it happened and I just didn't even think about it. There it is. Dwarven Spirit, I might have known. Let's just ignore the fact that I nearly threw a punch at that guy. I'm kind of trying to like do this. There we go.
Tons. My eye. I wonder how much she's paid for contorting so.
Let's try seeing if there's anything else we can do up here. And well, you know, we could. Well, as I was saying before, don't really have any intention of partaking in the services that this establishment is offering. However, if there are other things in here that we can do, like say, stand on tables and loot mugs, then we'll do that. And if there are any other quests or people to play in Gwent, things of that sort, then we'll definitely be looking to do that.
As long as they pay and don't hit.
Can we go out here? We can. Oh, this is the upper level entrance. Okay. Any reason for us to go here, though? Could exit over the side, but I don't think there's anything over there either. Let's just ignite. Yeah, that'd be cool. Could have done that at nighttime. Light all these guys for an even more dramatic photo op. Okay. Over here. Well, water. Okay. This? Candelabrum might be able to break down into some interesting components. Okay. Any other rooms that we can only access from this side? Like, not sure we can actually go in this room unless we approach from this angle. So let's pick up our fruits. And butter knives. But we still need the butter. I repeat, we have the butter knives, we still need the butter. Is it this? No. Okay. So, in that case, is this the highest floor? It might be.
Absolutely.
Do you have a name? No. Ooh. Not tried this. Okay. Might there be more? Well, maybe a little bit. Another way out to the balcony, but well, we can see down there. I see. Yeah, that's... Is that even a waterfall over there? That's pretty cool. Where is this? Not sure if that's the edge of the city we're seeing here, or if that's actually this little island. There is theoretically stuff even that far north. I think that's the island. Whereas that's the other part of the city, and then that is just really far north there. Huh. Interesting. Okay. Don't think we explored absolutely everything in this room just yet. We'll take another candelabrum. And that is not lootable. So we jump on the bed, ruin it, and then we head out. Wasn't me.
Black ones, dangerous.
He did it.
As long as they pay.